Hey YouTube, this is Dr. Wanda. Today, I want to respond to a couple of questions, and I'm a crunch them together, that I've been asked about signs and signals, or another way to put it is red flags that you can look for um, if you're not in a genuine relationship with an African, okay? Because there are a lot of black women coming to this country now. And so some of them are coming to party, but it's a whole lot of them that are looking for genuine relationships. And so, if you go through these YouTube streets, you'll notice a lot of videos where people say he only wanted me for the green card. And so I've been asked, because now I'm essentially living here, what are some of the signs? What are some of the red flags that you can look for to kind of give you questions? Now, everything has an exception to the rule, okay? But these are some of the general things. And so I tell everybody, every woman, because you are a woman, and this is a gender specific country, meaning that women do certain things and men do certain things, and they split the two, okay? So as a black woman, I don't want to carry the burden of taking $8,000 to $10,000 of any hard-earned money I have to get anybody to my country. So I say the green card should always be taken off the table at the very beginning. Don't even start that discussion, or let them know from the start if you're never going to do it. You're not interested in that. Now, I've always said, if you come up with your money the same way they come up with money for businesses, or to acquire land, or to travel, or for education, I got you. Walking through that process, I definitely have you. But in terms of me as a woman doing that level of sponsorship, it's too heavy of a conversation. And I really compare it to, would you, at the beginning of a relationship, upon meeting someone, start talking about having their baby? Now, people are doing that, and we see some of the mess that's come from that. But should you really be doing that? And most of us will conclude no. Okay, that when we're first dating, getting to know each other, the conversation shouldn't be that heavy. So it's, to me, that green card is as heavy as the idea of having children, because I don't know you very well. I don't know your mindset. I don't know your financial literacy. I don't know where your spirituality, where your head is at in terms of, what type of God-fearing man are you? We should, just pump our brakes and know, okay? So give it some time. Okay, I would take that off the table. If you take the green card off the table, now to me, you're dealing with man and woman. And one of the major ways you can see if you're in something that's solid is, does this person post you on social media? Do you ever get anything with pictures or acknowledgments, or maybe you shared a card or something? But do they acknowledge you as on any parts of their social media account? Now, the other issue is, if you have become friends with them and you begin to engage on their account, do they respond to your posts? Because one thing that you'll see with men who are scammers is, when they don't want people to know that they're really connected to you, you can be responding on their social media account, but they don't ever say nothing to what you post. They might laugh and joke with their friends and put funny emojis for someone else, but they tend to ignore what you post. So, excuse me, that's one major real red flag. It's major to meet family. Africans, in the four nations I've been to, family is everything. Family, they function as a collective as it applies to that family. And so, have you met family? Do they, even through the phone, do they even just take you on FaceTime and say, grandma, ma, dad, brother, sister, this is my love. This is someone I'm talking to. You get someone that say, culturally, we don't do that, or it takes us a long time before we can introduce someone in the fold. But you also get people who are very comfortable with it. So I would look at that social media behaviors with me and towards me as a gauge or a red flag. Children come up early in conversations, particularly, a lot of American black women have children. The likelihood of you meeting a black woman with a child, especially if she's 30 plus is high. So it's fair game for you to ask the man about his children, okay? And does he have small children? You know, older children, 15, 16, 17, okay. But does he have small children? If he has small children, then that means he even as of late was in a recent relationship. And what is the status of that relationship? And why did it work? And why did it fall apart? All of that's something that if they're open about, then you're doing okay, okay? Because we all have situations where we think we're in something or we are in something and it just doesn't work out. So that's not uncommon even for men. Do they introduce you to friends? Everybody got a best friend or a social set that they're involved in. Do they actually bring you into the fold? Because many of us come to visit. And does this visit stay private? Or is there a private component, but then eventually you're allowed to meet some of the members of their set, their cousins, their brothers, and some of that you have to be careful with when it's women, because everybody's a cousin, okay? But nonetheless, do they feel good about bringing you out in public and introducing you to the most intimate members of their set? Do they talk about their finances? Are you able to get off into talking about finances? This is an important question, particularly because one of the things that scammers do is that they link with you and they always have a crisis. Somebody has malaria. There's always a funeral that happened. There's a shortage of school fees. There's always something. So I would say it's not a bad thing to get off into a deep conversation about job and pay and crisis and because you have to remember that or maybe you don't know, but at least across the continent you'll find that like 80% of Africans are living in sort of non-traditional housing. So it's not as, when you're seeing the brochures and you're coming here to tour and you're coming here to sort of like party, that's not how the average African is living. And so you want to ask these questions so that you're comfortable and you understand exactly what you're getting into. So what else can I tell you? That social media account says a lot. The introduction into family and friends says even more. The conversation about family and children, especially little ones, says a whole lot. And then it's important to talk about the money, because even if you're talking about a green card, you're talking about money. If you're talking about an airline ticket, you're talking about a K1, K2 visa, any of these visas, you are talking about money. So I would say get into that financial mindset, that money mindset really, really fast. And I believe men should be men and women should be women. God said if a man don't work, he don't eat. Okay, he needs to work in order to also achieve things. He needs to put something towards it. So even if he can't do all of it, you want to know that he can at least try. You want to see that. Now, here's the benefit of coming. Like, I've come and I've stayed. So things that I would not have seen otherwise, where a person can spin you, okay? They can tell you things and spin you, and they can explain themselves out of all these situations. I'm living here, so I can see it with my own eyes. So that's the power. So when you remember now, this is just basic to life. When your experience is different than when you have somebody on your turf, than when you're on their turf. So I believe that any woman that wants to be with an African man at least needs to set aside 60 days. If she can do more, all the better. Set aside 60 days where you come and you stay and you go through the daily living with them. What are they doing? I'm not talking about touring. I'm not talking about safari. I'm talking about daily practices. How is he waking up? When that cock crows, does he wake up? Does he go to church? Is this speckled or sometimes? And when he goes, does anybody in this place actually know him? Is this someone that when you go through the community, pretty much the people in the community are warm to him, or do they even know this man? What community has he landed you in? Is this apartment his, or is he living at a cousin's apartment to accommodate you? A lot of the secrets or a lot of the conflict or confusion will begin to air itself. If there are women involved, if there are women in the backdrop, they're going to come forward because your staying brings pressure. And that's how you really actually learn about most people and most things, is that you have to put some pressure there in order for you to really find out what they're made of. And so, yeah, just you being there, people feel like, oh, the American's there, he has money, he's being sponsored. Yeah, they'll start coming out the woodworks, and there's always somebody in the midst that breaks rank because they're either good to people or they're not so good to people. But you're going to find out more about your significant if you come and you stay than you will if you keep that conversation, you keep that relationship online. So that's what I would tell you. If you're looking for the red flags, yes, there are some red flags that you can see just through social media and through basic telephone conversation, but there's nothing like boots on the ground, putting them boots on the ground, coming to see what type of man have you linked up with, and that's going to give you more decisions. Is he patient even when you getting out of cab? Does he reach his hand back to help you out the car? Okay. Does he when you're paying for things? Does he pull a couple of CDs out, or does he just sit and patiently wait for you to pay? There's so much that gets exposed, and you need to be here, boots on the ground in his world, and then you can make a decision about taking it further in terms of green card, visas, us coming back and forth, split time, or whatever. And I think that's all for now. I hope that helps somebody. All right, I'm signing off.